if you teach regular golfers, the best advice I can give to anyone that teach regular golfers, you just really need to know how to do two things. And you can make a lot of money. You need to be able to teach a really good hook lesson and a really good slice lesson.
I am super stoked to have on Live with Larry none other than Mr. Mark Blackburn. Thank you for coming on, dude. I've been watching you from afar. Number one, you're infectious with your energy in delivering, which I can really appreciate. But with that being said, the amount of information that you put out there is phenomenal, especially for myself as a teacher. I've never been able to meet you, but I know that I've been watching a lot of you. So just know that much to start.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, the goal is our community of coaches, you learn by sharing. And I tend to be one of those guys where I'm a big proponent of I can learn something from everybody. And the reality is the more you teach, the more you know the more you realize you don't know things. And I think we're all trying to help golfers get better. But my view is create good content that's entertaining and educational at the same time when people will watch it. There's lots of really, really great people from an academic standpoint, but they present horrifically badly. There's no energy. There's no enthusiasm.
Yep.
So that doesn't make it contagious. The goal is to make the information, if you're passionate about it and you want to share it, you want to make it enthusiastic and contagious so that people want to learn. And our game, all of us that coach golf, we need golf to grow, right?
Yes.
So you've got to make it cool. So people give me all this grief, Michael Breed and my other buddies, about the flat bill hats. And I'm like, look, golf is an enjoyable activity. It's fun. Like, I want to be casual. Like, I'm wearing a hoodie and a t-shirt. Like, I would go to work wearing that if I could. So I'd wear a tracksuit, joggers on the PGA Tour, and a pair of tennis shoes. FootJoy don't make them, but I would wear them if they did, right? So just because I want it to be fun and I want it to be casual. And I've tried to do the same thing with my content and my presentation of information. I want it to be spot on and accurate, but I want to explain it so simply that someone can take it and really absorb it. And let's be honest, most people look at Instagram when they're on the throne. So it needs to be pretty quick or they're just scrolling. But if it's, oh, that guy's kind of got some energy, it's all right. And he's enthusiastic. You don't want to be over the top, but you want it to be where, okay, that kind of makes sense. So you're also trying to be different, right? You don't want to be like everybody else wearing a pair of khakis and a typical stiff collared shirt. And okay, here's the backswing.
Yeah. Khakis, white shirt. Nothing wrong with that, but you know what I mean? You do get lost amongst everybody else. You know?
100%. So, and I've got a goofy accent too, so a combination of England, Alabama. So people tell me I'm from New Zealand, South Africa, Australia. But I'm an American citizen now, proudly. So that's, you know.
Oh, well, dude, that is so, like I said, I was looking forward to this because how refreshing you are. I had Gigi on the other night, and you know Gigi, how he's just, you know, all over the place. And, you know, I think, you know, like you said, we need that in the game to kind of grow the game more and just to get out there.
George is fantastic. I've been a massive advocate for him because, and we've become pretty good buddies, just because he's different. Like there's different people. He's at a driving range on the next to a highway, and people are there. He's got a tribal type community. That's fantastic. That means more people are going to play golf. The more people playing golf is better for all of us. No one coach can coach all the golfers. Whether you're whatever tour it's on, whatever it is, people are all different. So you've got to embrace that and look at, hey, that guy's having a lot of success. It's different. He's presenting his information in a different way, and he's got great energy and he's fun to be around.
Yeah, he does. Whether you agree with him or not, that's irrelevant. Like, if you get to know the guy, you'll be interested in him, I promise you.
Well, I think one thing I'd say on that, right, whether you agree or not, if somebody gets results, and I was saying this on a podcast the other night, or one of these things, they all kind of get lost. But it's one of those things where everybody that's coaching players, who has coached players for a long period of time, let's say you're on tour and you've coached multiple players and all of them have had some success.
Yeah.
Even if you completely disagree with that coach, they are obviously good at coaching players because those players get better. So
Yep.
instead of like, well, that's terrible, I disagree with that, it's like, okay, well, what does that person do really, really well? And I'm always like, every coach that has success with multiple players has some skill sets that are massively good for a person, right? So you've either got really technical coach on the left-sided brain. It's not true, but let's just go there. And then you've got really coach-orientated, like, if you like, more on the cheerleading side, but great motivator, great people skills on the other side. And then you've got some in the middle. Well, if you fall anywhere on that spectrum, if you have the right information for the right player, as in that player needs one of those types of coaches, you're going to do great. Unfortunately, a lot of times, if you don't have enough skill set and the right player comes to you and you aren't able to fill it, that's where you have an issue. And that's happened to me loads of times with tall players. But they're learning opportunities. Yeah. So you're going to fail way more than you're going to be successful, but you need enough volume of failures to create enough critical mass to have wisdom so that when that does happen, you have less failures and you have more successes. And so the likes of Butch Harmon, Chuck Cook, Mike Adams, guys that have been around a long time, that's what happens to them. But when you're a relatively young guy, you just got to go through the motions. And it is what it is. I try and take something positive from everybody on tour that coaches, and any coach I run into, even if they bug the ever-living snot out of me, I'm like, okay, I can learn something. That's an opportunity for me as a coach to get better. And unfortunately, not everyone has that mindset.
Yeah. So, and I find that, the coaches that I mentor, exactly what you said about a really good coach is going to find a nugget in whatever anybody's saying. But you also have to have, when you're collecting these things, you got to be able to be a coach. Don't you feel that you got to have a big toolbox, right? Of how to fix things. You only get a big toolbox by, like what you said, you've got to listen to other people. Not, you know 100%. What I mean? Figure out like, hey, what are the good pieces, right? Not necessarily like, I don't agree with that. Well, find the good pieces and you're going to have a bigger toolbox.
No, yeah. And something's going to work for everybody. Like the average golfer isn't the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour is like the 1% of the 1%. So when the average golfer's looking through a golf magazine or a golf digest, or they're looking online, you've got to make something understandable so that people can apply it. Now, not everything you give is going to work for everybody, but if you're looking at what the best players in the world are doing, the general population of golfers not that, and they generally don't have the physical gifts or the hand-eye coordination to be able to do some of it. So it's like your average runner comparing themselves to an Olympic marathon runner, or the average runner comparing himself to a sprinter. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But people do that when they play golf because we can play the same golf course, the same equipment, and the same golf balls. So we kind of have this affinity that we're the same as them. Now, that's what makes golf great. But at the same time, people need to realize, hold on a minute, I'm playing the game for fun. So I've got a different set of ingredients that I bring for my recipe, and it's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah, I got you. How much do you still work with like the average players? I know you work with a ton of tour players. You work with Charlie Hoffman, Ches Reavie. Who else am I missing? I know you've got more.
Kevin Chappell.
Yeah, sorry.
Sean O'Hare, Mike Weir, Colt Knost, but now he's a media celebrity. Guy called Brad Hopfinger on the Corn Ferry Tour, kid out of Chicago, super talented, smashes it. Those would probably be, I don't know if I'm leaving somebody else out, I apologize. Now I've got plenty of like mini tour type players, but honestly, I teach regular golfers. So I'm at Greystone in Birmingham, Alabama. And we have 2 golf courses. We have 36 holes. We host the Regions Tradition, which is a major on a Champions Tour. Yeah. So Weersy turns 50. He'll be playing in that in September. That's going to be awesome. And we have a lot of juniors. So we teach junior program. I've got 6 instructors that work for me at our academy. We've got a fantastic team. Yep. And then we teach club golfers. So next week I'm doing Zoom clinics for my members online. Like I'm doing a short game one on Thursday night. I'm doing a long game Tuesday night, a long game one on Thursday night. Yesterday, I was out at the club. We have some really cool ambassadors, PGA Tour players. We've got Trey Mullinex, Sepp Straka, Smiley Kaufman, Michael Johnson, a lot of guys that live in Birmingham.
Wow.
Our club has a great – I don't coach these guys, but yesterday I was out with them videoing, doing some stuff for the members. And then on Monday, I'm doing a Playing with the Pros where I'm streaming live to the Greystone channel on the golf course with those guys where they're playing. So I do a lot with regular golfers. So when I'm not traveling the tour, I'm back here in Birmingham, and typically Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm teaching regular members, playing with members. Last Saturday, I played with our members. So today is obviously day before Easter. I'm kind of helping the kids. That's why I'm here at the house. I'm actually going to go shoot some videos this afternoon, but and see some of our junior program we do run in the afternoon. So I still teach Mrs. Haverkamp, Joe Hack. Yesterday I was helping people with some snap slices and duck hooks. Like I still teach regular golfers. And you know what? I think that interaction with the average person helps you when you go coach players on the PGA Tour, because if this week's the Masters, right? So I've been standing on the old driving range at Augusta watching one of my guys hit balls down Magnolia Lane, just like slicing the crap out of it. Now, if you teach regular golfers, the best advice I can give to anyone that teach regular golfers, you just really need to know how to do two things, and you can make a lot of money. You need to be able to teach a really good hook lesson and a really good slice lesson. If you can do both of those things, which are the max end of the needle, you can help people. So when I've got a tour player it's going sideways, I pull from those times when I'm going through the checklist of how you teach somebody to intentionally slice it and add those ingredients in for the recipe of, okay, that's going to bring that thing back to straight.
Yeah.
Eventually, you go through those different pieces. Somebody's going to go with, oh, that feels great. They've got the ball control they want. Now they've got something they can pull into. Well, that helps a player make a cut in a major or create some momentum to, contend in a major, get a top 10. I learned that by being in the trenches, teaching crappy hack players and having to give them a quick solution really, really easily. Because if somebody's less talented, not such a good listener, and not so, if you like, intent on getting a positive outcome, that's the average golfer. You have to make them better, or you're not going to, essentially grow your clientele. That helps you massively with tour players. And so, but people don't necessarily look at it like that. Teaching a tour player the actual mechanics of it is not really is not the hard part. The hard part of teaching a tour player is being able to navigate the personalities and what goes on behind the scenes and what you don't see. And then in those moments when there's a lot of pressure. So if you're at a tournament and a player's struggling, you have to be articulate enough, really rapid critical thinking to give them a very simple solution to create confidence, to create ball control, so that they can go play golf. And think that you do learn that by amassing a volume of lessons over time with bad golfers. It's just like, if you're building that mile in of teaching just so you see things. And golf shots are golf shots. The hardest part about tour players is navigating more of their personalities and realizing a lot of what makes them great is the things that are very unique to them. And sometimes if you take what's unique and you get rid of it in an attempt to get better, sometimes they can get worse. And so the more something kind of looks messed up, the more I'm fascinated by it. I think early years in the golf machine with all the different pattern variations is massively helpful to that. But so I would say that one of the things that people got to realize is the more you teach, the better you get.
Yeah.
And that's just like a doctor that's been practicing for a long time has seen a huge caseload. Not every case is the same, but things tend to mirror and be very similar. Well, in this scenario, this was what happened, and I've got a 99% success rate. Well, you're pretty good at that. And that's what teaching really is, right? You're being successful with multiple patients, students, and you're just trying to give them all a different prescription. You really struggle in golf if you've got one thing that you can prescribe to people.
Yeah. We've
deviated away from that, but now if you can write multiple prescriptions, if you like, you're going to be more successful with a bigger variety of people. And most golf coaches should be like a general practitioner, right? People come in, but then you might refer to a specialist. But a lot of times that's frowned upon. Well, it really shouldn't be, because there's some people I have on the back phone buddies of mine that are better at certain things than I am.
Yeah.
I'm trying to improve myself, but you're always trying to refer. So I think absolutely teaching bad golfers is great. Yeah. Fantastic. I think it's good for you.
That was a huge question of mine. I was like, and I was curious about that, because I've always found, working with my better players as well, is that what you were talking about a lot of the lessons I taught was from learning, like you said. I don't like teaching a straight ball. I want somebody to have some sort of predictability, right? But to your point there, what you're saying is that, that high handicapper that comes in slicing it, to get their path to go into out, you can use that same deal on tour with somebody for ball control. But let me ask you this, and I love what you're talking about, and this is what I've noticed all the great coaches I've had on here. I've had a ton of great coaches on here. But they talk about what you're talking about as sort of like the spokes on a wheel. It's not necessarily the mechanic always, right? In terms of, I need 2 more degrees of this or 1 more degree of that. To your point of speaking about, like, there's other things that you don't see that make this person play better.
100%. And some guys, I would call those more soft skills, right? My buddy Matt Rudy at Golf Digest, do articles with him. He's an awesome dude. And he talks a lot about coaches. You've got 2 types. You've got the technical coach, and then you've got coaches that are really good at soft skills. And the soft skills are those things that are the intangibles. And some guys are fantastic at that and maybe not as good at the other. But if the player that's coming to you needs more of the motivational, the soft skills, they need to have self-belief created, they need someone to develop a practice plan for them to motivate them, then that will be a perfect marriage. Now, if it's the guy that's got a chronically bad swing floor that needs some mechanical, prowess, that coach isn't going to do very well. So it's horses for courses. But the soft skills are becoming more and more important. And remember, I preach this massively, and I try and have this influence. Like, my coaching philosophy is score-centric. The whole thing is about shooting a lower number. And so there's lots of different things that go into that. At the end of the day, you can have a golf swing that doesn't look very good, but is very functional, delivers the club really, really well. I'm sure Miller Barber delivered the club really, really well. It may not have looked very pretty, but obviously he was successful, right? He had great ball control. So at the end of the day, golf is about that. I think there's a lot of great coaches that are really good at taking those pieces that, if you like, are soft skills. I'd put statistics in there as well. Developing a game plan to figure out what's this player's deficiency and where is it. Those things are massively important. And we have support teams. We have different experts within a team to be able to do that, because quite frankly, I don't think anybody is able to do that, wear all of those hats and be fantastic. You can have certain skills that you're way more proficient at. Just like when you pull a tour player up and you see their strokes gained stats, might be really high in driving, not very good on approach, and then great at putting. Well, you're going to have the same thing with coaches, right? So the goal is to help a player. You have to almost be like the ringmaster in a circus, and you have to be able to kind of navigate, bring all these different voices in, and then deliver the message simply to the player. Because the only downfall of big teams with big information is trying to relay it very simply, and often the coach, the main coach, is kind of the one that everyone refers to and the player listens to. So it's one of those things. I think that's massively important from the way modern coaching goes. And I'd encourage club golfers, if you're struggling with something, and so our friend John Ortega, great with putting, right? Yeah. Loves his putting. He's super passionate about it. Well, if you're struggling with putting and you're in that SoCal area, you should, and your coach isn't the best at putting, go see John. He's great with putting, right? That's what people become known for. If you're great. So Lane Savoy works for me. Him and Rob Neal have a great project they've been working on for a long time, Wedgecraft. So if you need a wedge work and you need to work on short game and research-based information, Lane is a great resource. Now, candidly, I take all their information and I use it. I use it with my players, my tour players. But if you want a lot of the really, really small nuances, Lane's way better at that than I'm going to be.
Yeah.
So, but my goal is to take it, use the information, just like other short game coaches that Ridyard, buddies of mine, Seek, Jeff Pierce, guys, you take a lot of those guys' information and you're trying to use it. But like if there's a really complex case, I'm going to refer to some of those guys. But then you're also going to call coaches when you have questions and things that you're not great at. You share ideas. And I think that's really important.
Thanks for watching, everybody, the JRL Golf Academy. Please make sure to link and comment down below. Make sure you subscribe and turn on that little bell for notifications. And we look forward to seeing you on the next JRL Golf Academy.